The Simple Deform modifier allows you to apply a simple deformation to a 3D object. This can be a mesh, lattice, curve, surface, or text. The deformation can be based on a rotation using the twist or bend option, or based on scaling via the taper or stretch options. The twist option rotates the object around a specific axis. If I select the first cube and add a simple deform modifier with a twist option, notice that the cube is now twisted at a 45-degree angle. The angle is the total amount of deformation. This can be a negative number to reverse the deformation. I can change the axis around which the twist will be performed. I also have restrictions that I can place on the deformation. I can set a lower and upper limit for the deformation. I can also lock the other two axes that are not currently being used. Since I'm using the x-axis, I have the option to lock the y and z-axis. I can also add a vertex group. I also have the option to use an object to deform the cube. If I add an empty, and then, with the cube selected, select the empty for the origin. I can now use the empty to deform the cube. The bend option bends the object over a specified axis. When I add a simple deform modifier with the bend option to the second cube, I see that the cube bends at a 45-degree angle along the x-axis. The options for the bend option work just like the ones for the twist option. I can change the angle and the axis. I can also apply limits to the bend. I can also add a vertex group. However, I don't have the option of locking the unused axes. If I add an empty, and then, with the cube selected, select the empty for the origin, I can now use the empty to deform the cube. The taper option scales the object along a specified axis. If I select the third cube and add a simple deform modifier with a taper option, notice that the cube is now tapered with a factor of 0.785. The factor is the total amount of deformation. This can be a negative number to reverse the deformation. I have the same restrictions as the twist and bend options. If I add a torus, and then with the cube selected, select the torus for the origin, and lock the z-axis, for example, I can now use the torus to deform the cube. The stretch option stretches the object along a specified axis. When I add a simple deform modifier with the stretch option to the fourth cube, I see that the cube is now stretched with a factor of 0.785. I had the same options that I just used for the taper option. If I add a plane, and then with the cube selected, select the plane for the origin and lock the y-axis, for example, I can now use the torus to deform the cube. I have a series of cubes that I want to bend around the z-axis to form a circle. I select the cubes and add a simple deform modifier. I need to change to the bend option and use the z-axis. I can now simply change the angle to 360 degrees to form a circle. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. If you want to request a tutorial, please leave a comment below. Have a good day.